Hey everyone, and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to go over Lambda expressions and higher order functions. Let's get started. What is a Lambda expression? A Lambda expression is a function literal, that is, a function that is not declared but passed immediately as an expression. Kotlin uses a concise syntax for Lambda expressions, allowing you to define a function and pass it around in a compact form. Simply put, a Lambda expression is like a small, unnamed function that you write on the spot and use right away, without needing to formally declare it elsewhere. It's a quick, disposable piece of code to do something specific, like adding two numbers. Higher order functions. What are they? A higher order function is a function that takes functions as parameters or returns a function. Higher order functions allow you to abstract over actions, not just values. Simply put, a higher order function is like a special tool that either uses other tools that get its job done or gives you a tool to use. It allows for more flexibility and reusable code by working with actions, functions, directly, rather than just values. Indeed, Lambda expressions are small anonymous functions passed around as expressions. You can also think of them as quick disposable pieces of code for specific tasks like adding numbers. Higher order functions are functions that take other functions as parameters or return functions. You can also think of them as special tools that either use other tools, functions, or provide tools, functions for flexible and reusable code. Alright, let's dive into some code examples. Let's dive into the code. I put all of it here so it's nice and clear. Let's get started with the Lambda expression, right here at the top. A lambda is a small anonymous function that you can use without giving it a name. The lambda takes two integers, a and b, and returns their sum. Integer, integer to integer means that the lambda takes two integer values and returns an integer value. The part here is the actual lambda expression where a and b are added together. Simply put, you can think of it like a quick recipe to add two numbers together without having to write a full function. Next, right here, we have a higher order function that takes a lambda. This function can take another function, in this case a lambda, as a parameter and use it inside its body. Here, perform operation takes two integers, a and b. Here we've assigned type integer to both a and b. And lambda, this is the operation, this is actually the lambda here, the operation, that tells it how to combine a and b. Right here, this operation, so the lambda, tells it what to do. Okay, so it needs to combine them. So operation AB calls the lambda passed to the function with a and b. Simply put, a higher order function is like a kitchen that can take different recipes, lambdas, to prepare a meal. You tell it what ingredients to use and which recipe to follow. Next, we have a higher order function that returns a lambda. This function returns a lambda based on the type of operation you want to perform. For example, add or subtract. It decides which lambda to return using a when expression. Right, this part right here returns the appropriate lambda based on the type string. Okay. Simply put, this function is like a cookbook that gives you the right recipe, lambda, based on the type of dish you want to make, operation type. Down here, if we just scroll, we have this main function. Let's have a closer look at this so we can really understand the concepts here. We're using the lambda expression here directly. This part calls the sum lambda with 3 and 4, and it returns a 7. Because that is the sum of 3 and 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. Next, we have a higher order function with a lambda expression. And this part calls perform operation with the lambda. This is the lambda part. And it adds 5 and 3 to get 8. Right? And the same here with just subtraction. Right? Here, we're getting and using a lambda from a higher order function. Here, we get the lambda for adding from get operation. And the operation 10 and 5 uses it to add 10 and 5, getting 15. Okay? So simply put, this main function shows how to use lambdas and higher order functions in different ways. First, we use a simple recipe, lambda, to add two numbers. Then we tell the kitchen, higher order functions, what recipe to use for different operations. Finally, we get a recipe from a cookbook, another higher order function, and use it. Okay, that's it for this lecture. As always, this code is right in the description below, so you can have access to it. Thank you so much for joining me on this lecture. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you, and see you soon.